Good morning, everyone. Tell you a little bit about myself and how I came about GOGI and what GOGI's did to me. First of all, I don't look at GOGI as a program. I look at GOGI as, excuse me, as a new way of life for me. It's a culture that I have formed my entire life around now, because if it wasn't for this culture of GOGI, I do not believe that I would even be here right now. I came to Valley State Prison in early 2017. Shortly thereafter, I signed up for GOGI and I got a book. I started reading. June the 13th of 2017, I had a catastrophic event happen to me in my life that superseded anything that's ever happened to me before. I was enveloped with a darkness that was just so depth and so overwhelming that I didn't know which way to go. I didn't know what to turn to. I couldn't even think. It was just total devastating to me. Being a person that's his whole life has struggled with manic depression, bipolar disorder, a few other disorders I have. And the biggest one of my entire life is not making the right decisions. I found myself not wanting to go on in life anymore, not wanting to even live. And the feeling was so strong that I really contemplated taking my own life. I was extremely serious about this. It was either take my own life or I was going to fix it to where I didn't have a life anymore, that I was going to spend the rest of my life in prison. And doing that, that means I was going to harm someone else. I truly felt that it was something I didn't want to do, but I didn't know no way out of this. I wanted out. I wanted to change my life. I wanted a new way. But I just didn't know how to take that step. I found myself out on the yard, and I was just walking around on the yard, walking around the track, trying to figure out which way I was going to go and what I was going to do next. I kept saying to myself, you know, there's got to be some way, there's got to be something that I can do to get out of this situation that I'm in and this feeling that I'm having. Something spoke to me during that time that I was walking around that yard, and something told me just to breathe. It was very odd, because at that moment when that voice told me just to breathe, I took a breath, and I really truly believe that's the first time since I was a baby that I ever in my life ever took a belly breath. But from that moment, I don't know exactly what it was, but I did feel just something. I felt a little bit better, some shape, form, or fashion. I can't explain it. But something entered my mind that, you know, I was like, hey, you know, I was just reading about this breathing thing, and I got to thinking how I was supposed to actually breathe. And I could remember something about putting my hand on my stomach. So I did. And I started just pulling in air, and I started breathing. And as I was doing this, my mind started to clear up a little bit. I don't know how long I walked. I don't know how many breaths I took. I couldn't tell you. But the important thing is I did it. And as I kept breathing and I went back to my room and I continued to do this, I started looking at life a little bit differently. I found myself picking up the GOGI book again and reading, and I got to reading, and I just kept reading. And I never turned and I never looked back from that point on in my life. So for that, I want to say thank you to Coach Taylor, for the founder, and everyone else that's ever been involved with the GOGI program, because I do truly believe that it saved my life. Going through my life, I've always felt like Charlie Brown on the cartoon, The Great Pumpkin, Charlie Brown. You know, when Charlie Brown went around to these houses trick-or-treating, whenever he would go up to a house, somebody'd always give him a rock. Well, that's the way it was for me. Everywhere and everything I've ever did in my life, I went looking for a treat. But I always ended up getting a rock. And the reason I got those rocks was because of the bad decisions I was making in my life. I didn't have no direction. I didn't know who I was. I kept searching for who I was. I kept trying to be like these people over here. When that didn't work out, when I found myself in a situation I had to flee or I ended up in jail or something else, as soon as I got out, I would go try something different with a different group of people, a different line of work, whatever it was. That didn't work. I never truly found out who I was. Through the GOGI program today, ladies and gentlemen, I found out who I am today. And who I am today standing here before you is I'm Gary Sellers. I'm me. I'm nobody else. I don't have to be who John wants me to be over here. I don't have to do what Mary says I got to do. I don't have to look around, and I don't have to act, perform, or do anything in the world that no one else tells me to do, because I'm the boss of my brain today. And I'm the one that chose to take the absolute hardest step that it is for any human to take in their life, and it's across the most tiniest line in the entire world. And that line is from being a person that sits around and dreams of life changing, that you want your life to be changed and you want to be a different person, and taking that giant step across the smallest line in the world to becoming a doer of the change. That's all it is. I call the culture of GOGI the GOGI Road, simply because I want to get to a destination which is the ultimate freedom, which every time I've ever met Coach Taylor, as I've saw it in her, she's always happy. She's always just this little bubbly person, you know, which is really great, and I thank God for her. But before I can reach that destination, I got to go on a journey. So I might as well take that journey with GOGI. Now on this road, I know there's going to be still a lot of potholes, there's going to be bumps, there's going to be hills I got to climb, there's going to be other drivers that cut me off, there's going to be things that I do wrong cutting other people off. But there's also going to be emergency lanes where I can pull over, take a little breather, take some belly breaths if I have to. There's going to be some filling stations along the way that I can stop and refuel myself with the members of GOGI that are around me and the positive people that I put in my life today. You know, there's going to be some vacations on the way that I can take with my family where we can all be happy together once again. We can all laugh in a very positive and productive way. So I encourage each and everybody today, just get on the GOGI road and change your life forever. And it's very simple. It's just taking one belly breath. It's that simple. Ultimate freedom, I feel it some, you know. I'm not entirely all the way there yet because there's still a lot of issues and a lot of things that I'm working out in my life. But one thing I have discovered, when you do get some of that little time of that ultimate freedom, you get a lot of time to practice the flosser. Yeah! Thank you. I'm GOGI for life.